Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're going deep on something pretty special, the Lexus LFA.
Oh, yeah. This one's surrounded by a kind of mystique, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely, a legend, really.
Uh,
And our guide for this deep dive, a 2009 Lexus LFA brochure.
A window into a different era of automotive ambition.
By the end of this, we'll know the specs, sure, but more importantly, the philosophy, the dedication, what made the LFA such a unique supercar.
It really is more than just your average supercar.
So let's start at the beginning. Where did this journey begin?
It all starts, as these things often do, with a dream.
Okay, I like where this is going.
The chief engineer, Haruhiko Tanahashi, his vision was the supreme driving experience.
Ambitious.
And that vision drove every decision in the LFA's creation. Everything.
The brochure mentions a clean sheet design. What does that even mean in this context?
They threw out the rule book, started from nothing. No trying to improve what was already there. They wanted something revolutionary.
Pretty bold, especially for
Right.
Lexus. They're known for refinement, but maybe not so much for, taking risks.
Right. But with the LFA, they had the freedom to think differently, push boundaries.
And that led to some pretty radical choices, like using carbon fiber reinforced plastic.
KFRP.
C4P, yeah, for the chassis and body. Serious stuff.
Cutting edge back then. And they weren't just showing off. The LFA team had real engineering reasons.
So why CFRP?
It's incredibly strong, but also incredibly lightweight, and that gave the LFA a serious performance advantage.
Okay, so not about bragging rights, but actually enhancing the car's performance.
Exactly. The LFA ended up weighing just 1,480 kilograms. Think about that for a car with a V10 engine. Astonishing.
So they chose CFRP for the strength-to-weight ratio, which helps with performance.
Got it.
And get this, they could have outsourced the CFRP work, but Toyota, they brought that expertise in-house. This wasn't just about the LFA. It was about mastering this material maybe for future models.
Forward thinking right there. Like, they were using the LFA to develop cutting-edge tech.
And the attention to detail is incredible. 3 different CFRP molding processes, each one tailored to specific areas of the car.
They even left the CFRP exposed, like on the underside of the hood, the trunk lid.
Oh, that's cool. A subtle flex, showing off the construction.
Exactly. Now, a car's more than just its body. Let's talk about the heart.
The engine. Okay, hit me.
A 4.8-liter V10, a true masterpiece of engineering.
Numbers, please. How much power are we talking?
560 horsepower, revving all the way to a screaming 9,000 RPM redline. But it's not just about raw power, it's how it delivers that power.
So more than just brute force.
Think of it like a symphony. Titanium valves, dry sump lubrication, individual throttle bodies, brutal acceleration, but also a refined driving experience.
They managed to marry raw power with precision and, dare I say, elegance.
Exactly. And speaking of elegant, we have to talk about the sound.
Oh yeah, I've heard the stories. Legendary.
So they studied Formula One cars to create a unique sound, an octave harmony, they called it.
Okay, now that's cool. So it wasn't just about making it loud.
They wanted the driver to feel the music of the engine, so they created these sound channels, piping that engine symphony right into the cabin.
Like surround sound for a car.
You got it. And the intake surge tank. They designed that to be part of the sound experience too, compared it to the acoustic chambers of wind instruments.
That's amazing. But with all this power and sound, how do you even control this thing?
Well, Tanahashi, the chief engineer, he was obsessed with balance, his philosophy. The car should follow the driver's lead.
Sounds like my kind of philosophy.
So they placed every component perfectly to get a 48.52 front-to-rear weight distribution.
Perfect. How'd they even manage that?
Obsessive, like I said. Saddle-shaped fuel tank, battery in the back, even the position of the windscreen washer tank was considered.
Giant game of Tetris with car parts.
Exactly. And that attention to detail, it carries over to the brakes.
Okay, let's talk stopping power. How do you stop a beast like this?
Carbon ceramic brakes. Lighter, more resistant to fade.
Fancy. But there's got to be more to it than just the material.
Of course. 6 piston calipers in the front, 4 in the rear. Floating discs, all designed to handle the heat, the stress. Even the caliper pistons were engineered to apply pressure progressively, giving the driver incredible feel.
So the whole braking system was meticulously designed.
And then there's the suspension. They honed it on one of the most challenging tracks in the world, the Nürburgring Nordschleife.
The green hell. That's a proving ground if I ever heard one.
Double wishbone front, multi-link rear, all lightweight aluminum, unique dampers, forged aluminum components, hollow anti-roll bars.
So no expense spared to make sure this thing handled like a dream.
They use unique dampers, forged aluminum components, hollow anti-roll bars. Everything was geared towards creating a car that could dance through corners with precision and grace.
Are you sensing a pattern here? Pushing the limits of engineering and performance in every way.
You're catching on. And we're just getting started. Aerodynamics, the steering, that incredible cockpit. We haven't even touched on those yet.
This is shaping up to be one for the books. Stick with us. We'll be back with more on the Lexus LFA right after this. All right, back to the LFA. We've talked engine, sound, suspension, but how does it all come together when you're actually driving this thing? Like, how does this car move through the air?
Aerodynamics. A supercar is not just about power, right?
Right.
It's got to be slippery, efficient.
Stable at high speeds.
The LFA's design, it's a real balance of beauty and function. Hours in the wind tunnel, computer simulations, all to get a low drag coefficient. 0.31.
Now, I'm no aerodynamicist, so what does that number even mean?
It means the LFA cuts through the air like, well, imagine a hot knife through butter. Good for speed, good for fuel efficiency. But here's the thing. They did that while still creating downforce.
Downforce, keeping it glued to the road, right?
Exactly. Active aero, passive aero. You've got that front lip spoiler, the bonnet vents, those little rocker fins along the side, and of course, the ector rear wing.
The wing had to come up eventually. Seems like every supercar's got one these days.
Yeah, but the LFA was ahead of its time. Deploys automatically at speed, adds stability, downforce when you need it, but there's more to it.
Yay.
Look under the car. Flat underbody, rear diffuser, all about managing airflow. And even those side mirrors, they're designed to channel air into the rear intakes for cooling.
So even the mirrors have a purpose.
Everything does. That's the beauty of it. Aerodynamic artistry.
So powerful engine, amazing sound, slippery body, but you got to be able to control it, right?
Yeah.
That's where steering comes in.
You got it. The LFA, it's got something called column assist electric power steering.
Electric. Isn't that like economy car stuff?
Not quite. This is different. They wanted responsiveness feedback without losing engine power.
Because traditional power steering, that can drain power.
Right. This system's mounted directly to the carbon fiber structure, super rigid, and they even made a special grease for the steering column, low friction. So every input from the driver, it goes straight to the wheels.
I'm looking at a replica of the steering wheel here. It's a pretty small, flat bottom, carbon fiber. Feels purposeful.
That flat bottom, not just for looks, helps the wheel self-center. Weight distribution, you see.
So even the shape of the wheel is about feel, ergonomics.
Driver and machine working together.
Enough talk. Let's get inside the cockpit.
Now this is a special place. Luxurious but performance-focused. The brochure calls it driver-centric.
Yeah, from the pictures, it looks like you really sit low, almost wrapped in those seats.
Those seats, they're not just for show. Eat-way adjustable, great support, but they also position the driver and passenger close to the center of the car.
Why is that?
Makes you feel like you're part of the car, not just sitting in it. And then you've got the instrument panel. That's something else.
It does look pretty futuristic in the brochure.
Moving ring tachometer, LCD display, all kinds of info, but not overwhelming.
High-tech, but intuitive.
The way the tachometer needle moves, it's mesmerizing. And you can customize the display, see whatever you need, track day or just cruising.
Adaptable.
They even put in a stopwatch, track day, you know? And when you start the engine, the way the instruments come alive, it's like a little show.
Making it an event. This isn't just any car.
Right. And don't forget the luxury. Leather, Alcantara, carbon fiber accents, that remote touch system. Perfect blend of performance and luxury.
Can't forget safety. What do they do to protect people in this carbon fiber rocket ship?
Well, carbon fiber is strong on its own, but they added front and rear crash boxes. Absorb impact. And the side members, they're designed to deform, dissipate energy.
So it's not just about being strong, it's about protecting people in a crash.
You've got airbags everywhere, front, side, knee, and all the electronic safety systems. ABS, traction control, stability control, they're all part of what they call VDIM.
VDIM.
Sport Vehicle Dynamics Integrated Management. Basically, it coordinates everything, keeps you safe, especially when you're pushing the car.
Like a guardian angel.
Exactly. They even figured that some people would take this car to the track, so you can turn the VDIM off completely. And the brakes, they're calibrated for track use too.
So it's not just a road car, it's track ready.
Every detail was thought out. This wasn't about building just a fast car, it was about the whole experience.
Speaking of details, the LFA's development, the manufacturing, that's a whole story in itself.
Yeah, this wasn't an overnight project. Remember, it was almost 10 years from the start to when it was revealed.
A decade. That's rare in the car world.
They were committed, didn't just design it on computers. They took prototypes to the Nürburgring, tested it in the real world.
The ultimate test.
They even raced it in the 24 hours of Nürburgring, twice. They
Yeah.
believed in this car.
Real racing pedigree then.
Absolutely. And the production, each LFA was hand-assembled at the LFA works in Japan.
Hand-assembled, like a work of art.
Only 500 made, built at a rate of 20 a month. This was about craftsmanship.
Each one unique.
And get this, each V10 engine, it was hand-built and signed by a single engineer.
Wow, that's pride in your work.
The LFA, it's a symbol of passion, engineering, perfection. It's a special car.
After hearing all this, I can definitely see why it's become such a legend. It's more than just a supercar.
It's a statement, a testament to what's possible.
And a legacy that'll inspire engineers and designers for years to come.
It makes you think, doesn't it? If you could experience the LFA, feel that V10, take it on the perfect road or track, where would you go?
Now that is a question, and a perfect place to wrap up part 2 of our LFA deep dive. Stick around. In part 3, we'll have some final thoughts, and maybe even leave you with something to think about. We've covered a lot of ground here. Specs, design, the whole philosophy behind the LFA. But what's the big takeaway? What sticks with you even if you never see this car in person?
I think it's a story about pushing limits. Lexus could have made, a perfectly good supercar the usual way, but they wanted more.
They asked, what if? What if we make something truly extraordinary?
Exactly. And they didn't let challenges stop them. Carbon fiber, that steering system, they embraced the chance to do things differently.
That's what makes the LFA so interesting. It's more than just being fast.
It's about ingenuity. That the car can be a work of art, not just a machine.
And only 500 people will own an LFA, but it's bigger than that, isn't it?
It sets a bar for what's possible, inspires other car makers to, raise their game.
A legacy for future engineers, designers.
Absolutely.
The LFA, it's a symbol.
Yeah.
Passion, dedication, amazing engineering.
Makes you think. If you could drive the LFA, hear that V10, where would you take it? What road? What track?
That's a good question. And a perfect place to end our deep dive into the Lexus LFA. Thanks for joining us, and until next time, keep exploring.